The drizzle began at dawn, soft and silvery, veiling King's Landing in a muted shimmer that hinted at change far deeper than the weather. From the ramparts of Maegor's Holdfast, banners hung limp in the damp breeze, crimson Lannister lions alongside the dire wolf of House Stark, two sigils seldom seen beside one another, their uneasy coexistence proclaiming the new order, a joint regency born of necessity and brittle compromise. Eddard Stark stood in the chill of the morning, cloak dark with moisture, hands clasped behind his back. The air smelled of wet stone and distant sea, overlaid with the Citadel's usual tang of smoke and tanner's vats wafting up from Flea Bottom. Even after weeks in the capital, the stench remained foreign to him, a reminder of winter air in Winterfell, clean and sharp, unsullied by too many people crowded behind too few walls. Yet duty held him here now, chained more tightly than any iron to this teeming city of secrets. Below, the Red Keep's inner courtyard roused to life. Stable boys hurried beneath covered colonnades, leading destriers out for grooming. A line of gold-cloaked guards drilled beneath Ser Jacelyn Bywater's stern eye. Plump kitchen girls carried baskets of fresh bread across the yard, the loaves steaming in the chill. The ordinary hum of the castle felt strangely fragile today, as though the faintest misstep might shatter it. Behind Ned, the door creaked. He did not turn. He did not need to. The measured tread of boots on stone, the quick metallic click of a spur, distinctive, precise, announced Lord Tywin Lannister as clearly as any herald. The other man halted a respectful distance away. A pause stretched, taut as a bowstring, until Tywin spoke in a voice as cold as the dawn mist. "Lord Stark, you rise early. I always have." Ned's eyes remained on the courtyard. "There is much to see before the city stirs." "True." Tywin moved to stand beside him at the crenellated waist-high wall. Together they surveyed the waking fortress, a tableau of order imposed on the restless heartbeat of the capital. "It is different in the western hills," Tywin continued almost idly. "In Casterly, Rock dawn brings miners to their depths and merchants to their counting houses. Here, the small folk hurry to gossip before they labor. And yet both places need ruling," Ned replied, voice even. "We are here to ensure that happens." Tywin's mouth twitched, a flicker of acknowledgement, not quite a smile. "Indeed, the small council convenes in an hour." His Grace's absence need not halt affairs of state, provided the councillors remember to heed the regents. His Grace, Joffrey Baratheon, crown heavy upon a boy's brow, mood shifting with every rumor that reached his throne. The king had taken ill 5 days past after a reckless feast, leaving him bedridden, feverish, and silent save for delirious murmurs. Maesters predicted a slow recovery, but whispers hinted at poison. Whispers never far from Tywin's golden-haired brood, nor from the shadows that clung to the Great Hall. "We will keep the realm steady until he recovers," Ned said. "That is our charge," Tywin agreed, though his gaze slid sideways as if measuring the Stark Lord's resolve. "But steady is not enough. We must shape the realm, guide it. A regency is a hammer that can forge iron or shatter glass." Ned met the lion's gaze at last. Tywin's eyes were pale green, hard as polished jade. "A hammer wielded by 2 hands cannot strike true unless they share purpose." "Purpose is won through power," Tywin replied, "and power through decisions. Today we must decide the fates of merchants pleading for coin, of lords clamoring for rewards, of armies waiting for orders. If we hesitate, the kingdom will see 2 regents quarreling over every scrap of authority." "Then we will not quarrel," Ned said simply. "We will weigh each matter with justice." "Justice?" Tywin echoed, the word cool on his tongue. "May look different through northern eyes than through Lannister eyes, so we judge together." Ned turned back to the courtyard. "And show the realm that wolf and lion may guard the cub without tearing each other." Tywin's silence held a ghost of amusement. "Very well, Lord Stark. Let us see what this day brings." The council chamber was a long, echoing hall of carved oak panels, warmed by a dozen braziers. Ned entered first, Ser Barristan Selmy at his shoulder in white cloak and polished plate, vigilant despite the peaceful morning. Tywin followed, crimson cloak glinting with threads of gold, flanked by Ser Adam Marbrand and a pair of Lannister guards. They took their seats at opposite ends of the massive table, whose lacquered surface bore faint scratches from decades of debates and betrayals. The other seats filled fast. Grand Maester Pycelle shuffled in, joints creaking louder than the door's hinges. Peter Baelish arrived humming softly, eyes flicking from Ned to Tywin like a sparrow hawk assessing storm clouds. Varys glided in last, plump, perfumed, expression serene, spreading his hands as though to bless the assembly. Ned's gaze lingered on the spymaster's silk-slippered feet, recalling darker rumors of Varys's little birds. Information would prove both sword and shield in the coming weeks. He would need to guard his secrets well. Pycelle cleared his throat. "My lords, shall we begin?" Tywin raised a hand. "The regents will preside. Bring forth the petitions." A clerk stepped forward with a roll of parchment. The day's docket stretched long. Shipping levies on grain barges, land disputes along the Blackwater, an appeal from the Night's Watch for fresh recruits, complaints from the faith militant about impiety in the streets. Each matter threatened contention. Each could be twisted into advantage by those who watched for weakness. Ned leaned in. "We shall start with the Night's Watch." Tywin's eyebrow lifted. A trivial plea compared to the corn levy. "But a vital one," Ned interrupted. "Winter is coming. The Watch must not be starved of men." Tywin considered. "Very well." He gestured to the scribe. "Read." The clerk's voice rose, dry as parchment. "Lord Commander Jeor Mormont requests 200 recruits, along with coin for repairs to the wall's eastern tower, damaged in a storm. 200. Pycelle's mustache quivered. "Preposterous. The crown cannot spare." "The crown can protect its borders," Ned cut in. "And the wall is our first defense." Baelish's fingers drummed on the table. "But the treasury bleeds, my lords. Repairs to the city walls after the riot, subsidies to rebuild Stony September, and now Joff. His Grace's tourney last moon have emptied our coffers." He smiled, thin and knowing. "We must mint new coin to pay our debts soon." "Then mint it," Tywin said flatly. "My gold mines remain plentiful. The crown may secure a loan at favorable rates." "Favorable," Varys murmured. "How very magnanimous, my lord." Ned's jaw clenched. "The wall's tower will be rebuilt. The recruits." 50, Tywin interjected. 50 men may go north. Enough to show the king's grace, not enough to cripple the city guard.
Net met Tywin's case.
Behind the lion's measured composure lay unspoken challenge. "Concede this and prove you can compromise. Resist and the first crack forms in our alliance." He exhaled slowly. 50 then. But they must leave within the fortnight before harvest claims them. "So ordered," Tywin said, scratch of quill on parchment. The first matter settled. Uneasy, imperfect. Ned felt the room watching the exchange, assessing fault lines. Next came the grain levy. Tywin argued for raising tariffs, to line the treasury and punish greedy merchants. Ned countered that high prices starved small folk. Baelish sided with Tywin, citing deficits. Varys voiced mild concern for the poor. A hungry city is a restless city, while Pycelle worried over lost revenue for the crown's healers. The debate wore on, voices sharpening under veneer of courtesy. Hours passed. Outside, the drizzle ceased. Sunlight slanted through high windows, gilding dust motes. Inside, stakes rose. At each decision, Ned sought justice and mercy. Tywin sought order and strength. Sometimes their aims aligned. An outlaw lord's ransom to be diverted to rebuild orphanages. A corrupt harbor master stripped of post and fortune. Other times they clashed like rams on a mountainside, horns locked in stalemate until compromise emerged bruised between them. By midday the council adjourned, tensions humming like taut strings. Ned lingered, gathering his notes. He felt the weight of each promise, each concession, balancing on a knife edge above chaos. Tywin paused at the door. "You argued well, Stark. And you, Lannister." Ned slid parchments into a leather folder. "But we must watch the edges of our course. Push too far and we risk tearing the realm apart." Tywin's expression remained unreadable. Push too little and we sink beneath rival currents. He inclined his head. Until the morrow. When the lion was gone, Varys approached, hands clasped. A most promising morning, my lord. 2 great men steering the ship of state. Yet ships must beware rocks. Speak plainly, Ned said. Varys's smile softened. Lord Tywin admires power and respects those who wield it deftly. He will test you, my lord, to learn your mettle. He may test all he wishes. I will not bend justice to ease him. Just so. Varys's eyes gleamed. But justice, like iron, may break if struck upon an anvil too often. Ned slung the folder beneath his arm. Then let us see whose steel holds. That evening, the Red Keep's great hall lay hushed. Candles flickered between pillars. Tapestries stirred in unseen drafts. Ned walked alone beneath towering rafters, seeking quiet after the day's strife. His thoughts turned northward, toward Catelyn's letters, toward Robb shouldering duties at Winterfell, toward Bran dreaming of wolves beneath the heart tree. He pictured Jon atop the wall's ramparts, face uplifted to starlight. Would the recruits they'd approved reach him in time to aid the watch? Would they be enough? He paused before the Iron Throne, its jagged spires catching candlelight like frozen lightning. Robert's heavy voice echoed in memory, laughing, cursing, longing for simpler days. Robert was gone, and the boy who sat here now, the boy who fancied himself a lion, lay fevered and fragile. Footsteps sounded behind him. Tywin's again, though lighter now, unarmored. Ned turned. I did not expect company. Nor I, Tywin said. He gazed up at the throne, expression unreadable. My grandson covets that seat. It burns him even as it crowns him. Are you concerned? I am realistic. Tywin traced the air before a twisted blade that jutted from the throne's side. Power is a sword without scabbard. One must handle it carefully or bleed. Then teach him care, Ned said. I intend to, but a young lion learns by clawing. Tywin clasped his hands behind his back. Joffrey sees enemies everywhere. If he senses weakness between us, he will exploit it. There will be no weakness. See that there is not. Tywin's gaze finally shifted to Ned. Tell me, Lord Stark, why did you agree to 50 men, not 200? Because 50 is more than none, Ned answered. And because the wall needed them now, not after a fortnight's quarrel. A wise compromise. Tywin studied him. Many would call you stubborn, but I see pragmatism. Do not mistake caution for concession. A glimmer of respect flickered in Tywin's eyes, nor pride for principle. He inclined his head. Good night, Lord Stark. Ned watched him depart, cloak whispering across flagstones. When the hall was quiet once more, he considered the Iron Throne's black silhouette. Joint Regency, 2 hands upon the realm's wheel. The voyage ahead promised storms, but storms might be weathered by men who refused to yield. Across the narrow alleys of King's Landing, candles lit window after window as dusk deepened. In a cramped room above the Candlewick brothel, a thin man in drab cloak penned a coded letter, waxed it with a seal of indifferent merchant house, and passed it to a courier. The letter would travel by river to Maidenpool, then by rider through the hills to Harrenhal, where hidden eyes awaited news of the capital. Money changed hands. Secrets changed course. In the dungeons beneath the Red Keep, 2 jailers muttered over dice as a gaunt prisoner scribbled verses on the wall with a fragment of charcoal. Each line told of wolves and lions dancing in crimson rain. In the street of steel, Tobo Mott's forge glowed. Sparks flew as steel met steel, shaping a new blade under Master's hammer. Commissioned, rumor said, by a northern lord seeking Valyrian secrets lost to time. And in the chambers of the hand, Ned Stark sat before a small writing desk, quill poised above parchment. He drafted letters, one to Robb with fatherly advice, one to Lord Manderley to secure grain for the capital, one to Ser Brynden Tully, requesting cautious patrols along the Trident. Each word carried weight. Each sentence stitched another thread in a fragile tapestry. When at last he set the quill aside, candle nubs burned low. Ghostly silence enfolded the keep. Ned rose to stretch stiff muscles, and caught in the stillness the faint echo of distant bells. Ships in the harbor, perhaps, or something else. Moments later, a rap sounded on his door. Desmond, one of his guards, entered, face pale. "My lord, a message from Maester Pycelle."
Urgent.
Ned broke the seal, eyes scanning the lines. Blood drained from his face. He snatched his cloak and strode into the corridor, Desmond hurrying to keep pace. "What is it, my lord?" "King Joffrey," Ned said grimly. "His fever has broken, but he will not wake." Maester Pycelle's chambers smelled of bitter herbs and warm milk. Joffrey lay beneath fine linens, blonde hair damp against his brow. His chest rose and fell shallowly, lips muttering incoherent fragments. Cersei Lannister knelt beside him, fingers clutching her son's hand. Tears left shining tracks on her cheeks, though her eyes held the hard glint of emeralds unsheathed. Tywin stood at the foot of the bed, face carved from granite. Pycelle bent over the king, stethoscope of bronze pressed to the boy's chest. He straightened, joints popping. "Your grace breathes steady, yet remains unresponsive." "Unresponsive," Cersei's voice cracked. "You swore the fever ran its course." "And so it has," Pycelle said. "But fevers leave consequences. The mind may wander in the aftermath." "Bring it back," she hissed, knuckles white. "I command you." Tywin's voice cut through the tension. "Leave us, all save Lord Stark." Guards ushered attendants away. Pycelle shuffled out last, robes whispering. When the doors closed, Tywin looked to Ned. "We face a realm without its king." Ned's pulse pounded. "He may yet wake, perhaps, but we cannot wait on perhaps." Tywin's hand rested on the bedpost. "As regents, we must decide contingency." Cersei rose, shoulders trembling. "You will do nothing. Joffrey will recover." "Hope is not a plan, daughter," Tywin said softly. "We must prepare." Her gaze flashed toward Ned. "You would supplant my son?" "I would protect the realm." Ned met her fury without flinching. "If the king cannot rule, the regents must, together." Tywin's nod was slight. "First, we must verify succession. Should Joffrey fail, the crown passes to Myrcella." "Enough!" Cersei's voice broke like glass. She turned on Ned. "You sowed this doubt the day you set foot in this city, Stark, whispering lies about bastards and bloodlines."
Ned stiffened.
Tywin's eyes narrowed. The room crackled with secrets teetering on the brink of revelation. "I sowed nothing," Ned said evenly, "but rumors spread regardless. If Joffrey does not wake, rumors will become torches in the streets. We must douse them with truth." "Truth?" Cersei's laughter was brittle. "Who among us holds truth? You with your northern honor? My father with his gold? Or the spiders who spin from the shadows?" "Enough!" Tywin's tone brooked no dissent. "We will not bicker over old wounds." He turned to Ned. "Summon the small council at dawn. We will draft an edict reaffirming the regent's authority until the king recovers. Meanwhile, Maester Pycelle will consult every tome on fevers. My personal physicians will assist." Ned inclined his head. "Very well." Cersei opened her mouth, but Tywin silenced her with a look. She sank back to the bedside, stroking her son's limp hand. Ned departed, heart heavy. Outside the chambers, Varys emerged from a niche. "How fares his grace?" "Still in shadow," Ned said. Varys sighed theatrically. "The realm trembles when a single candle flickers." "Candles may relight," Ned said, "or they may burn the house." "Just so." Varys's gaze lingered on the closed door. "My little bird's chirp of a new alchemist's guild perfecting a more volatile wildfire. Unstable, dangerous. Imagine such flames in the wrong hands." Ned eyed him. "Why bring this to me?" "Because wolves care for pups, and lions for cubs, but wildfire consumes all." Varys folded his hands. "Should unrest spread, some will reach for any weapon. I will keep watch, and Varys murmured, "We'll listen." He melted into the shadows, leaving Ned to the silence of the torchlit corridor. Across the city, whispers multiplied. The boy king struck down by poison, by curse, by the wrath of the Seven for his cruelty. Others swore the hand conspired with the lion to seize power. Fireside tales grow taller with every telling, and King's Landing was a forest of dry tinder awaiting one careless spark. In Flea Bottom, a prophet draped in rags proclaimed a vision of a white wolf devouring a golden lion, while a crimson sun rose bloody behind them. Drunkards cheered, beggars spat. A watch patrol broke up the gathering, but the words lingered. On the Iron Throne's high dais, torchlight flickered over empty seat. And in chambers high in the Tower of the Hand, Ned Stark wrote in his journal of the long day, his script steady though his spirit churned. Joint Regency demanded unity, yet unity seemed as fragile as hoarfrost on morning grass. He closed the book and blew out the candle. Outside his window, the moon rode clouds like a ghostly ship. Somewhere beyond, winter advanced unseen, indifferent to southern storms. The dawn of the second day glimmered rose gold over the Blackwater. Ned, armored in dark leather and gray wolf-mantled cloak, strode toward the council chamber. Streets inside the Red Keep hummed with nervous energy, servants speaking in hushed tones, guards glancing at the sky as though omen might tumble from it. Tywin awaited at the doors, cloak of deep red swept back, sword at hip, a warlord dressed for peace, yet ready for the other. "They talk already," Tywin said without greeting. "Word spreads like rot." "Rot is cut away," Ned replied. "We should address the city directly." Tywin considered. "A proclamation, then. You will draft it. I will review." They entered the hall together. Baelish was already there, perusing ledgers, lips curving. Pycelle fussed with scrolls. Varys smiled benignly. Ser Barristan stood tall in Kingsguard white, hand on pommel, silent witness to destiny. Tywin rapped his knuckles upon the table. "We begin. His Grace remains incapacitated. Until his recovery, the Regency shall speak with one voice. Any who challenge this endanger the realm." His gaze swept the council, daring dissent. None spoke. First order. Ned produced a parchment. "Loaves in the city have shrunk, yet prices rise. We will fix bread costs to last winter's rates and requisition. Stored grain from Crownland's lords." Baelish opened his mouth, but Tywin cut him off. "Approved." Varys's brows lifted in polite surprise. Pycelle scribbled. "Second," Ned said. "Ser Aaron Santagar reports Dornish raiders along the Blackmont border. We dispatch ravens to Sunspear and Highgarden. The Lion and the Wolf," Tywin interrupted, "shall send a joint force of 100 knights to reinforce the Marcher lords. Let Dorne see unity." "Agreed," Ned said. So it went. Decree after decree, swift and firm, two regents locking step for all the realm to witness. Whispers would still swirl, but perhaps they would swirl around a stone too solid to erode. When the council adjourned, Baelish lingered. "Such harmony," he mused, smoothing his beard. "I half expect to see direwolf pups suckling lionesses." "Careful little finger," Tywin said in a voice like velvet over steel. "Some lions eat mockingbirds." Baelish smiled, bowed, and withdrew.
Ned exhaled.
"For now we hold." "For now," Tywin agreed. "But storms brew." He stepped closer. "If Joffrey dies." "He is but a boy," Ned said. "We should pray for his life. Prayer does not stay daggers." Tywin's gaze hardened. "If the boy dies, we must choose. Crown Myrcella under my guidance, or risk war." Ned felt cold. "I will not see a girl used as pawn for ambition. Nor will I see Lannister blood denied its right." Tywin's voice lowered. "Together we choose peace, or separately we wage war. Decide, Stark." "I will decide when the time comes," Ned said. "It may come sooner than you wish." Tywin turned away. "Prepare." That night thunderheads rolled across the sky, lightning clawing the Blackwater in blinding arcs. Rain hammered rooftops, overflowed gutters, flooded alleys where rats swam for refuge. In the Tower of the Hand, Ned paced before the hearth, firelight flickering across his features. He reread a letter from Caitlin, words of longing, of Bran's slow recovery, of Rickon's wild games. Each sentence felt like a rope binding him homeward, yet tightening here, in this place he could not leave. Sudden footfalls sounded outside. The door burst open. Desmond entered, soaked to the bone. "My lord, urgent. The Queen's Guard has seized Grand Maester Pycelle's chambers. They ordered all ravens be held." Ned's heart thudded. "Why?" "They claim treason, that the Maester plotted with you to usurp the throne." Ned snatched his sword belt. "Where is Lord Tywin?" "In the King's room with the Queen." Chaos flashed before Ned's mind. Crown, blood, fury. He strode into the storm-lit corridor, steel at his hip, purpose in every stride. At the junction, Ser Barristan intercepted him. "My lord, the Queen demands you remain in your rooms." "I serve the realm, not demands," Ned said. "Stand aside." Reluctantly, the old knight moved. Together they hurried to the king's chambers. Rain-soaked guards blocked the door, Tywin's lion on their cloaks. "I will see Lord Tywin," Ned commanded. Inside, the scene froze as he entered. Tywin at the foot of the bed, Cersei beside her son, tears gleaming fresh. On a tray lay a tiny vial, stopper removed. Pycelle knelt, shaking hands clutching empty bottle. "The milk of the poppy," Pycelle stammered. "To ease his pain, no more." Cersei's scream cut him short. "He murdered my son." Ned's gaze flashed to the boy, Joffrey's skin waxen, chest unmoving. No breath, no heartbeat, a stillness deeper than sleep. Tywin's eyes flicked to Ned, an unreadable ledger of calculation. In the hallway, thunder boomed. Thus ended Boy King's reign, and thus began the storm. Outside the Red Keep, the roar of thunder mingled with distant shouts. Flames guttered in braziers, casting wild shadows across stone. Ned felt the realm tremble beneath his boots, as though the giant beneath the capital stirred in restless slumber. Tywin stepped toward him. "The king is dead," he said, voice flat as tombstone. "We will convene the council at once." Cersei's sobs turned to feral growls. "No council. Arrest him," she pointed to Ned. "He killed my boy with his false counsel and his northern poison." Ned's sword rasped free halfway before Barristan's gauntlet covered his arm. "My lord," the old knight whispered. "Not here." Tywin's own hand rested on his hilt. "Sister, silence," he commanded. "This is no time for hysteria." "Hysteria?" Her laughter cracked. "You never loved him. You only loved his crown." Tywin's jaw flexed. "Enough. The realm must not see chaos." He turned to Ned. "We hold the Regency still, but now the heir is Myrcella." Ned shook his head. "We must examine the line of succession before any crown passes." Cersei's eyes blazed. "Again with your insinuations. I will have your head, Stark." Tywin's gaze hardened. "We speak again at dawn. Keep your accusations to yourself until then, or my patience will end." Ned studied the lion. "You threaten war? I promise order." Tywin bent over his granddaughter, pressing a kiss to her brow. Then he swept from the room, cloak trailing like a banner of blood. Ned turned to Barristan. "Guard her," he murmured, nodding toward Myrcella. "Protect her from all harm." Ser Barristan bowed, eyes bleak. Ned left, mind whirling. Snow fell in his heart, though summer storms raged without. He felt the cold fingers of destiny clutch the hilt of his fate. In the silent corridors of the Tower of the Hand, Ned sat before parchment once more. His quill scratched, urgent, final. Secrets Robert whispered on his deathbed now demanded voice. He penned, "Trueborn heirs of Robert Baratheon are none. The seed of the crown lies elsewhere." Words that could save the realm or ignite it. Footsteps approached. Desmond again, breathless. "My lord, riders mass at the gate of the gods. Lannister colors. Marbrand's men." Ned set the quill down. Ready the household guard. Double watches. No one leaves or enters without my seal. Desmond bowed and departed. Thunder rolled above. Somewhere beyond, bells started to toll, slow, mournful, announcing a kingdom's grief. But grief may curdle to wrath. Ned sealed the letter, pressing his direwolf signet deep in crimson wax. He straightened, sword buckled at his side. Dawn would bring counsel, accusation, perhaps civil war. Yet in the quiet hush before the storm's heart, he thought of Bran's laughter echoing through Winterfell's courtyard, of Jon's determined gaze atop snowy walls, of Arya's fierce grin as she brandished needle. He whispered a silent prayer to the old gods, feeling the weight of ice and honor upon his shoulders. Outside, lightning split the sky, illuminating King's Landing in stark, white blaze. For an instant Ned saw every gabled roof, every maze-like alley, every watchtower and slum, all held together by fraying threads of fear and hope. The light vanished, darkness rushed back, and in that darkness, two men, one wolf, one lion, prepared to steer a realm through fire and shadow, bound by a regency forged in necessity, threatened by secrets sharp as swords, and balanced on the thin edge where justice meets power. The night held its breath, awaiting the dawn. The storm raged until near dawn, battering King's Landing with sheets of rain and hammer blows of thunder that rattled the shutters of the Tower of the Hand. Somewhere in that gray, murderous hour just before first light, the downpour eased into a sullen drizzle, leaving the streets slick and shining, as though the city itself had been scoured of color. But nothing could wash away the blood-dark news that spread from the Red Keep like poisoned wine. The king was dead. Eddard Stark had slept not at all. Instead he paced the length of his solar, boots creaking on rush-strewn floorboards, the low fire hissing with every gust that forced its way beneath the window casements. Scrolls lay unrolled across the table. Laws of succession, oaths sworn on steel, fragments of Robert's broken will, all useless now, overturned by a single silent corpse. He had known many dawns in Winterfell, pink-tinged skies over white fields, breath misting in crisp air. Yet this dawn felt colder than any winter morning he remembered, though sweat streaked his temples and his pulse thundered like hooves in his ears. When the bells began, solemn, measured, 12 deep-tolled notes for a royal death, Ned pressed both palms to the cool stone sill and stared eastward. From here he could see a wedge of the Blackwater glimmering pewter beneath ragged clouds. A single galley beat upriver, oars churning, its deck crowded with crimson-mantled guards. Lannister reinforcements, no doubt summoned by Raven the moment Joffrey's chest stilled. Tywin wasted no time. Wolves hesitated for the sake of honor. Lions did not. Ned ground his teeth. He must move before the city was ringed in gold and fear. Desmond returned at that hour bearing the sigils of the houses sworn to the north, seals Ned had requested during the dark hours. The messenger found his lord binding a roll of parchments with rawhide. "We ride for the September of Baelor," Ned said by way of greeting. "Gather 20 men, stalwart, sober, and ready for arrows." "Arrows, my lord? Tywin will want the city to see one face of power today," Ned answered, sliding ice into the wolf head scabbard across his back. "I intend they see too." The September of Baelor rose above the city like a pale crown, its great domes gleaming wet beneath the reluctant dawn. Already a crowd swelled along the marble steps. Small folk in patched cloaks, spice merchants holding parasols, lean bravos with knives half-drawn, all jostling for vantage. The bells still tolled, each bronze knell vibrating in ribs and sinew. Ned dismounted at the foot of the square, cloaked in a thick mantle of gray wolf fur that steamed in the rain. 20 northern guards formed a wedge behind him, steel caps gleaming with water. Across the plaza, an answering host arrived trumpeting on brass. Red cloaks fanned out in disciplined ranks, shields lacquered with roaring lions. And at their head rode Lord Tywin Lannister on a stallion the color of a new-forged penny, crimson cloak snapping behind him like the banner of a conquering army. His eyes found Ned instantly, assessing the numbers, the spacing, the mood of the crowd. two predators sniffing the same kill. Between them, the High Septon waddled forth beneath a silk awning, 7 crystal pendants bobbing upon his chest, his pallid cheeks blotched with the chill. "My lords," he intoned, voice a quavering echo swallowed by the square's vastness. "The people grieve. Let us bring them solace beneath the eyes of the 7. Ned inclined his head but did not kneel. "The realm demands truth as well as prayer," he said. "And order as well as truth," Tywin murmured. He dismounted with fluid grace for a man of his years, bronze spur striking marble. "We will give them all. Prayer, truth, order." Together, because the optics required it, they ascended the steps, 2 wolves flanking a corpulent sheepdog in crystal and lace. A hush rippled outward, as though the city had inhaled and forgotten how to breathe. Ned felt that breath pressing against his eardrums, tasted salt and soot upon his tongue. He counted archers along the parapets, for no 5 in Lannister crimson. Good men, likely loyal to coin more than crown. Stout shields but weak sinews beneath. Inside, torches sputtered in damp air, guttering beneath soaring ribs of stone. The High Septon led them down the nave between rows of flickering candles, each flame representing one soul who had come to pray for the dead king's passage. Tywin's spurs rang a steady cadence. Ned forced his to match. They halted before the mother's altar where a marble likeness of a serene woman cradled an infant no larger than a sparrow. The irony tasted bitter. Mothers with babes, while a real child lay upstairs in a coffin of black oak. "My lords," the High Septon whispered, "shall we begin the litany for the passing of the crown?" Tywin folded his hands, knuckles tight. "Soon. First the regents must confer." He guided Ned toward a side vestry, the door carved with angels whose stone faces were worn blank by centuries of pilgrims' fingertips. Once inside, he closed the door with deliberate care. The chamber was small, round as a coin, walls hung with faded tapestries of the 7-pointed star. "No blades," Tywin said, eyeing Ice's wolf-head pommel. Ned eased the blade free and balanced its length against the wall. Tywin unbuckled his sword as well. The room felt smaller still as the steel touched stone. "For the realm," Tywin began, voice low but taut. "We must appear. United," Ned finished. "You've said as much before, and yet you prepared riders, letters, seals," Tywin observed. "To what end?" "To remind those north of the neck where honor lives," Ned replied. "And to remind you I will not be bullied into crowning a child whose claim is false." Tywin's eyes glittered. "You would brand Myrcella a bastard at her brother's funeral?" "I would uphold the law." "Law is parchment," Tywin snapped. "Power is steel." "Do you mean to draw that steel in the September of Baelor? Against every man who calls himself loyal lion? If that steel shields innocence from tyranny, yes." Tywin studied him with a soldier's patience. "Robert trusted you, Stark, so I shall trust you once more. We will say nothing of bloodlines today. Instead, we announce the Regency continues unchanged until the king's spirit returns to the 7. Afterward, we speak again." "And the girl?" "Protected," Tywin said. "Groomed. The realm will see in her a queen of grace and mercy. They will forget the boy's cruelties, but she will sit the throne because 2 great lords guided her path." "2? Do you understand me?" Ned folded his arms. "I understand you wish to postpone reckoning." Tywin admitted. "Postpone it until my granddaughter no longer needs you." His expression hardened. "Do not make me your enemy, Stark. We have enemies enough already." Footsteps scuffed outside. A scribe's voice murmured hurried apology. Tywin's posture eased an inch. "Come," he said. "Prayers await." They retrieved their swords and returned to the heart of the September where the High Septon raised trembling hands. Incense wafted in spicy columns. Words spilled in droning cadence. Righteous judgment, celestial mercy, the turning of wheels no mortal could hinder. Ned felt eyes upon him from every pew, felt the tension of hundreds waiting to see if the regents would exchange blows or blessings. And through it all, Lord Tywin stood beside him, unsmiling, unyielding. The bells kept tolling. By day's end, each knell would birth a new rumor. Stark wolves butchered the boy king. Lannister lions poisoned him to seize power. Tyrell roses plotted in shadows. Dornish vipers prepared to strike. Winter wolves howled within Ned's chest. But for now, he held his peace as prayer rose like smoke toward the domed ceiling and vanished into darkness. When they emerged, the square had swelled fivefold. Rain-silvered streets reflected banners like bleeding colors. Lannister crimson, Stark gray, Baratheon gold still fluttering though its stag stood masterless. Tywin mounted first, but instead of wheeling his horse toward the Red Keep, he kneed the beast to a halt and addressed the crowd. "People of King's Landing," he called, voice carrying like a war trumpet. "Take heart. Your king rests with the Seven, but the realm endures. The hand of the king and the Lord Protector ride in harmony. Bread will fill your tables. Justice will be swift. Peace will hold." He paused, gaze sweeping across faces smeared with rain and grief. "Tonight a cask of Arbor Red shall be opened at every tavern by decree of the Regent Council, to drink to his grace's memory." A ripple of uncertain applause followed. Liquor dulled sorrow, maybe fear too. Tywin's gambit. Generosity buys patience. Ned lifted his reins but did not yet spur forward. "And hear this," he said, voice less thunderous yet cutting clear as winter air. "The crown owes its people safety. Any who would harm the small folk under cover of grief shall answer to me. Speak your prayers without fear. Walk your streets without dread. The law stands for all." No cheers, but nods. A murmur of approval from mothers clutching children. Tywin dipped his head, accepting the shared balcony. They split then, two columns of armored men parting the throng like red and gray serpents slithering opposite directions. Ned's return to the Red Keep passed under the looming mass of Aegon's high hill. He smelled smoke, onions frying, the fetid reek of last night's floodwater streaming toward the river gate. But over it all, he sensed a crackle in the air, as if the city itself waited for the next spark. In the small council chamber that afternoon, the tension thickened beyond Blade's edge. Varys arrived first, gliding as though the world weighed nothing. Baelish sauntered in whistling a body tune off-key. Pycelle hobbled, breathing heavy, still pale from his hours answering Cersei's accusations. Finally Tywin entered in armor washed clean of rain, cloak pinned by a ruby the size of a quail's egg. He did not sit, neither did Ned. "We face a question of succession," Tywin began without preamble. "The law states the eldest living child of the sovereign inherits. Joffrey is dead. Myrcella lives. I propose she be proclaimed queen at once." Baelish coughed into his fist, eyes dancing between the regents. "Ahem, swift action does soothe markets. Exchange rates plummet on uncertainty. Exchange of heads plummets faster when war erupts," Varys murmured. Ned opened the scroll he had penned countless drafts of during the night. "Before any coronation, we must confirm her parentage through witness and deed. The realm deserves certainty." Pycelle's quill stopped scratching. The old man blinked. "Parentage? Her grace is of Baratheon blood, surely." Ned drew breath. "Her hair is gold, as was her brother's. Not a trace of the Baratheon king's black. There are testimonies, guard posts altered, maids who..." Tywin's hand slapped the table. "Enough. You cast slander upon my daughter and grandchildren." "I present suspicion," Ned said. "Suspicion must meet inquiry." Baelish's smile turned sly. "Inquiry could, stoke flames we may not contain. The City Watch loyalties are, shall we say, golden." "Gold may buy swords," Ned answered, "but not Northmen." "No," Tywin said coldly. "Just fools who freeze in drifts while kingdoms burn." Varys raised both palms. "Perhaps a compromise. Postpone the coronation until the 40 days of mourning conclude. During that interval Lord Stark may pursue private inquiries, discreetly, while Lord Tywin readies the coronation ceremonies. If after 40 days no treachery is proven, then we proceed," Tywin finished. "And if proof emerges?"
Ned demanded.
"Then lions and wolves will decide in private as well." Tywin said. Silence settled. Baelish licked his lips. Pycelle's quill resumed scratching. So be it, Ned said at last. 40 days. Tywin nodded once. 40. We shall see whose truth endures. The next days blurred into a relentless march of investigation and maneuver. Ned summoned every guard who had stood watch outside King Robert's bedchamber 9 moons previous, every wet nurse who had tended Joffrey and Myrcella as babes. He questioned armorers who forged the Lannisters' gilded plate, stable boys who brushed their courtiers' horses. He read volumes on heraldic law, studied half-forgotten precedents where bastardy voided crowns. And each night he wrote letters, ravens winging north to Winterfell, to Stannis on Dragonstone, to Renly in Storm's End, though he trusted the latter little. Ravens also flew to old allies, House Arryn, Tully, Manderly. Most he sealed with his direwolf sigil. Some he sealed with wax so plain none would guess the sender. Meanwhile Tywin moved armies like chess pieces. Columns of mounted knights passed through the Lion Gate, bound for the Reach to assist with harvest levies. The City Watch tripled its patrols, Red Cloak captains replacing men of uncertain loyalty. Grain stores were opened, bakeries subsidized. Bread lines shortened even as taverns brimmed with lion ale. Small folk began speaking of the hand's generosity. Never mind, it was Stark coin that had funded much of Robert's successes. Tywin understood perception. He crafted it like a master bard. On the 7th day, Ned discovered the corpse of a black-haired armorer named Tobo Mott's apprentice floating in the Blackwater. The youth's fingernails were torn, his tongue severed. Ned had spoken with him 2 dawns earlier. He had asked about Targaryen blades, about forging refuted lineages in steel. Now the boy was dead, and the river would return no answers. On the 9th day, a riot ignited at Cobbler's Square. Wine ran out. A baker's son accused a fisher of stealing loaves. Knives flashed. Gold cloaks intervened with cudgels. 3 men died, but the fisher shouted as he bled that the wolf's lies starve us while the lion feasts. Ned dispatched Ser Allen to investigate. The fisher's body vanished before dawn. Each incident, small, sordid, pressed Ned harder. He slept less, dreamed of crypts under Winterfell, where statues of Stark kings whispered warnings he could not decipher. Halfway through the 2nd fortnight, Catelyn's raven arrived. Summer snows delayed riders, yet her words were clear. Bran walked short distances with a brace. Robb kept order. Maester Luwin worried of war. The Lords whisper, she wrote, of lion's fangs and wolf's jaws. They say winter creeps south with every rumor. Come home to us with honor or send for us if the south grows too dark. Ned closed his eyes then, pain sharp as broken ice. Home. He longed for it more fiercely than breath. Yet every letter he sent northbound Winterfell to his peril. Gather grain in surplus, he advised. But send no banners yet. Guard your strength and your counsel. He could not call them south. He would not risk them in this nest of daggers. Not yet. That night, under a sliver moon, Varys appeared in Ned's solar like a shadow with perfume. My lord, the eunuch whispered, I have tidings. Speak plainly. There is to be a meeting, Varys said, on the morrow at the house of the Kettleblack on the Street of Silk. A certain alchemist has perfected a colorless poison, swift as lightning in the blood. I am told an order has been placed. For whom? I cannot say. Varys's gaze flicked to the candle flame. But the coin is Lannister gold stamped in Casterly rock. Ned's jaw tightened. You are certain? As certain as one can be who listens to unguarded tongues in the dark. Varys bowed. I thought you would wish to attend. Alone. A dire wolf need not stalk alone. Varys smiled sadly. But choose companions you trust with your life. The eunuch vanished as quietly as he had come. Ned stared at the map unfurled on his desk. Streets twisting like serpents, alleyways more treacherous than mountain passes. He weighed risk versus revelation. If poison lurked in Tywin's arsenal, proof could undo the lion. If the meeting was bait, the wolf might be skinned. He called for Desmond. Roused Jory, Tomard, Arryn. Light armor, dark cloaks.
No heraldry.
We ride the street of silk before dawn. The house of the Kettleblack squatted between a gambler's den and a spice merchant's shuttered warehouse. Walls plastered in cracked yellow paint. Windows curtained in threadbare velvet. Inside, torchlight danced across chipped tables and smoke-stained rafters. At this hour, only 2 patrons drank watered wine. A bald man with coal miner's shoulders and a lanky youth idly shuffling tiles. Both looked up as Ned entered with 4 stark men in dusty cloaks. The innkeep's eyes widened. "Rooms is full, M-Lord. We need only drink," Ned said. They took a back table near the stairs. Damp straw muffled footfalls overhead. Ned ordered ale and let his gaze wander, noting exits, angles, the weight of the bald man's gaze. Minutes ticked. Rain drummed lightly on the eaves. Candle wax pooled, hissed. The door creaked. A stout figure in brown robes slipped inside, followed by a taller man cloaked in gray with hood drawn low. The innkeep ushered them toward the stair. Brown robes passed close. Ned glimpsed vials clinking beneath the folds. The hooded companion moved like a cat. No sound, no wasted motion. Ned stood. Jory bristled. "My lord, wait here." Ned followed the pair at a safe distance, climbing narrow stairs to a landing where a single door stood ajar. Beyond, lamplight illuminated shelves of glass tubes, mortar and pestle, racks of dried serpents and herbs. Brown robes set down his satchel. Hushed voices exchanged coin. When Tywin Lannister's name drifted from under the hood, Ned's spine jolted. He pushed the door wide, ice in hand, the space too cramped for the greatsword, yet its presence silenced the conspirators. Brown robes squeaked, scattering vials in a tinkling crash. The hooded man drew steel with lightning speed, a narrow dagger glowing faintly green along its edge. Poison. Ned parried with ices flat, force jarring up his arms. The dagger's tip scraped sparks and hissed where it struck the wooden beam, leaving a smoking groove. The hood fell back. Ser Island Payne's scarred face, tongue gone but eyes alive with murderous intent. Royal headsman turned hired assassin now, or loyal tool of Tywin? Ned had no time for questions. Island slashed again, dagger a blur.
Ned blocked, pivoted.
Space too tight. He shoulder-rammed Payne into shelves, glass exploding into clouds of shimmering dust. Jory and Tomard charged through the door. Brown robes fled into the hall, but Jory caught his robe and slammed him to the planks. Payne twisted free, dagger flicking toward Ned's throat. Tomard lunged, sword point punching through chain into Payne's side. The headsman gasped noiselessly, eyes widening. Yet his dagger hand snapped out, slashing Tomard's cheek. A single bright bead of green liquid spattered skin. Tomard screamed, dropping his sword to claw away flesh already smoking. Jory struck Payne down with a mailed fist. The dagger clattered free, still gleaming deadly. Ned kicked it under a cabinet. "Bind him," he ordered, but Payne's lifeblood gushed black across the floorboards. Moments later the headsman lay still, eyes fixed on some dreadful silence only the tongueless know. Tomard writhed, cheek bubbling where poison ate into flesh. Desmond pressed a cloth soaked in spirits to the wound. Ned crouched beside brown robes, an alchemist trembling like a leaf. "Names," Ned growled. "Who paid you? Who ordered the poison?" The man stammered, "Gold lion stamped. Sent by Ser Adam Marbrand." Message said, "For the hand's command." "I swear, M-Lord, I swear." "The Lannister hand?"
Ned demanded.
"No," the alchemist whimpered. "The hand's shadow, the lion's eyes. I never saw the face." He slammed eyelids shut, tears leaking. "Said the poison must kill quiet, leave no mark." Said the wolf howls too loud. Ned's stomach twisted. They meant him. Tywin or some agent had planned to silence Ned Stark before he could speak in council. Proof lay dying on the floor, yet proof still. "Take him," Ned told Jory. "Keep him breathing." Tomard groaned. Desmond and Aaron half-carried him down the stairs. Ned fetched the dagger with a cloth. Even through linen he felt the blade's icy sting. He wiped the edge on Payne's cloak, better him than some innocent, and sheathed it in a wax-sealed tube. Outside, dawn rimmed the rooftops with silver. The storm clouds had broken at last, revealing a hard blue sky that promised heat later. Ned stared at that sky, feeling the city shift beneath. He had a corpse who wielded poison, an alchemist's confession, a dagger fit for murder. Evidence enough to confront Tywin? Perhaps, but the lion would roar that pain acted alone, that the wolf staged the scene. Cersei would shriek, Baelish would weave jokes, gold cloaks would close ranks. Proof must be overwhelming. A dagger and a confession in Fear's voice, maybe not enough, but it was a start. They returned to the Red Keep through the Gate of the Gods. Tywin's banners snapped from ramparts. New companies of Westermen drilled on the muddy green. Ned escorted the alchemist to the Tower of the Hands dungeon, posting 2 northern men he trusted outside the cell. Tomard lay in the maester's wing, face swathed in poultices reeking of garlic and juniper. His agony gnawed Ned's conscience like a vulture. In the solar Ned spread parchments, inked a fresh letter to Stannis. The iron-willed Lord of Dragonstone despised intrigue but honored law. If any would rise against bastardy, it was he. Ned sealed the missive and eyed the dagger tube. Should he send it as well? Dangerous if intercepted. Instead, he kept the blade close, tucked under his cloak as he climbed to the council chamber where Tywin awaited. He found the lion alone, gazing out an arched window toward the sea. The light picked threads of silver in Tywin's hair. "You look weary, Stark," Tywin said without turning. "Late night," Ned answered. "Poison keeps you awake." That drew Tywin's eye. He studied Ned's face. "Speak plainly. Your headsman, Payne, lies dead in my dungeon. An alchemist claimed payment in lion coin. A dagger laced with manticore venom nearly killed my man." Tywin's brows rose a fraction. "Nearly? His cheek corrodes as we speak. Unfortunate." Tywin steepled fingers. "But I deny any order. Pain is silence incarnate. Anyone could turn his loyalty with coin." "Your coin," Ned said. "The world floods with coins stamped lion," Tywin replied. "We do not account for every sow's belly stuffed with our gold. I grieve for your man, but you will need more than a poisoned blade to convict me." Ned placed the wax tube on the table. "We'll let the council judge." Tywin's gaze hardened. "Bring such accusations and you risk more than my ire. You risk fracturing the realm beyond repair." "The realm already fractures," Ned said. "Someone widens the cracks." Tywin's lips pressed thin. "You press me, Stark, yet you know not the fires you stoke. If you expose Myrcella, if you accuse my blood, guess who marches? Every banner sworn to Casterly Rock. Guess who dies first? The small folk you swore to protect. King's Landing will burn, and you will watch ashes swirl like snow." "I have seen ashes," Ned said. "Winterfell's hearth when fires die, towers black after siege. They remind us life is fragile, but truth endures." "Truth," Tywin echoed, voice almost pitying. "Truth cannot feed a child." "Neither can lies," Ned returned. Silence. Finally Tywin turned away. 40 days, already 6 spent. Find your proof, Stark. Or yield, for the sake of that child you claim to protect. Ned gathered the tube. "Proof will find me whether I seek it or no. Lies rot. They swell, they burst." He moved toward the door. "And when rot spills, the stench covers all." He left Tywin staring through the window at a sky grown cloudless, deceptively calm. That evening, as torches were lit along the outer walls, Ned visited the dungeons. He ordered the alchemist's cell opened. The man knelt shivering on straw, robe stained by fear. Ned offered wine. The alchemist gulped. "Who told you the poison was for me?" Ned asked softly. I assumed, M-Lord," the man stammered. "The coin came with note. Silence the wolf. I thought, who else?" "Describe the courier." "Tall, lean, smelled of oranges. Were plain gray, hooded." Ned frowned. "Oranges came by ship from Dorne. A red herring? Or Varys's webs twisting again?" He thanked the man and left him shackled but fed. On the stair he found Varys waiting, candle in hand. Terrible business, the eunuch sighed. Ser Island served Robert long. To fall so ignobly, your birds misled me. Or saved you. Varys lifted a shoulder. Had you not arrived when you did, you might have tasted the same venom at supper. Ned's glare sharpened. My birds sing many songs, Varys continued. One speaks of a ship from Lys docking at Blackwater Bay yesterday, carrying barrels of wildfire disguised as lamp oil. Another sings of a sellsword named Iago promising his employer a secret weapon that will make walls crumble. It is said the sellsword now waits in a manse rented by House Clegane. Clegane.
Ned echoed.
The Hound. Or perhaps his elder brother the Mountain, Varys allowed. Monsters wear many masks. What do they plan? Wildfire, Varys whispered, eyes glittering. 1 jar can shatter a gate. 10 can level Flea Bottom. Imagine a riot-turned inferno. Whose name would the frightened masses cry? Whose banners would promise rescue? Lannister banners, Ned said. Or Stark, Varys replied. Fire cares little for sigils, but the one who quenches it will be hailed savior. Ned blew out a breath. Where? The jars are hidden near the dragon pit, so say the birds. I'll see them gone by dawn.
Ned paused.
Why warn me? Varys smiled sadly. Some of us serve the realm, not a house.
Besides, I mislike 4.
It is indiscriminate. Ned inclined his head. Thank you. As Varys glided away, Ned's sigh escaped. Poison, wildfire, daggers in darkness, tools of men who feared truth. The lion pressed his golden paw harder each day. Ned could almost feel claws through his cloak. He prayed the north stayed silent a little longer. The dragon pit loomed atop Rhaenys' hill, a broken husk of ancient vaults and toppled arches. Its blackened dome collapsed centuries earlier when dragons died in chains. By moonlight, the ruins resembled a giant's ribcage littering the hillside. Ned led 8 men through shattered bronze doors, torches throwing leaping shadows across debris. Rats scattered. The air smelled of damp brick and stale guano. In a cavernous chamber under the collapsed dome they found them. Barrels stacked 3 high, sealed with green wax stamped with a sigil of flaming sword, the mark of the alchemist's guild. A dozen barrels, maybe more, enough to scour half the city. Desmond stepped close, torch lifted. Wildfire indeed, my lord. Careful, Ned warned. A single spark. He did not finish. Footsteps clattered above. Men appeared on the broken catwalks. Sellswords in patchwork mail, crossbows cocked. Their leader wore black scale and a helm shaped like a snarling hound. Sandor Clegane, the Hound, eyes burning in torch glare. Step away, Clegane growled. Those barrels are for royal use. Royal?
Ned challenged.
Or lion? Same thing, the Hound spat. Crossbows twanged. Bolts hissed down, clattering off stone as Stark men dove behind barrels. Ned drew ice. Hold, he shouted. Wildfire will ignite if bolts strike. The Hound barked laughter. Then you'd better surrender, Stark. I'm paid either way. Ned's mind raced. Torch flames, dry wood, wildfire, death trap. He sheathed ice deliberately. Let us talk, he called. Gold for gold. Double what you've been promised. Gold's nothing, Clegane said. But killing lions could be something. He spat again. Problem is, Mountain would burn me for switching sides. Your brother is far from here, Ned urged. Who commands you now, Tywin? The Queen, Clegane said. Sister or not, I care not. She wants the barrels ready to drop on Flea Bottom if riots start. Ned's stomach twisted. Slaughter small folk to blame wolves? The savagery sickened him. Help me stop this, Ned said. No, the Hound replied flatly. I help no one but me. He signaled. Bolts flew again, thunking into wooden staves. One buried deep near green wax seam. Ned's heart lurched. If pitch leaked onto torch flame, he shouted for his men to douse lights. Torches smothered in wet cloaks. Darkness swallowed them. Above, crossbowmen cursed, reloading blind. In blackness, Ned whispered, Move the barrels to the far arch, away from bolts. Hands groped, shoving heavy casks across gritty stone. The hound's men loosed at sounds. Bolts whistled harmless past. Sudden whoosh, one bolt struck a lingering torch near wall.
Sparke shower-li emerald.
Men screamed. A barrel ruptured, spewing green flame that rolled like liquid demon, igniting dust and rat nests. Heat blasted Ned's face. He roared for retreat. They hauled barrels through side tunnel as fire climbed broken pillars, licking toward stacks still intact. The hound cursed above, silhouette wreathed in hellish glow. He fled with his cell's words, boots pounding overhead. Ned's party burst into open night through a rusted portcullis. Flames roared inside, emerald whirlwinds devouring shadows. One last barrel tumbled from Jory's grasp, rolled downhill, then burst in piercing shriek of color. The dragon pit's ruin became a beacon, painting the hilltop green. Bells clanged, horns blew alarms.
Ned watched, chest heaving.
Wildfire destroyed itself, barrels lost. Proof of the plot literally burned away. But the city saw the blaze, and rumor would blame whoever rumor served. Sure enough, by sunrise criers shouted that Stark men sabotaged the dragon pit. They claimed the hand sought to rain fire upon King's City and frame the queen. Gold cloaks detained 30 small folk, wolf sympathizers. Mobs chanted outside the Tower of the Hand, "Fire and treason! Wolf's season!" Stones clattered against walls. Inside, Ned convened his captains, posted archers, prepared boiling oil despite his revulsion. He wrote letters again, one to Ser Barristan pleading for neutrality, another to the Riverlands asking Hoster Tully for men. He feared he wrote last words. On the 31st bell, Tywin requested audience. Ned met him in the grand foyer between swirling tapestries. Tywin's face looked carved from rock. "You lit Wildfire," the lion said. "I contained it," Ned corrected. "Ask your dog what happened." "My dog," Tywin sneered. "Clegane reports Stark men attacked his detail." "His detail attacked us." Tywin dismissed it with a wave. "Perception is truth. The city believes you a butcher now." Wiser men would mount ships tonight and sail north before heads decorate spikes. Perhaps wiser men would not threaten fires in poor districts. Tywin's eyes narrowed. "Parting ways will not spare you, Stark. Rusted crowns lie heavier than iron. If you do not stand aside, river lords will drown in blood when my legions march. And when winter comes," Ned said, "lions will starve before they break the north." They stood like statues, neither blinking. "At dawn," Tywin said softly, "the council meets to vote on Myrcella's coronation. Be there or be declared traitor." "Then I will be there," Ned replied. With truth. Tywin walked away without another word. His crimson cloak trailed across mosaic floor like a streak of freshly spilt blood. Night fell, the 33rd night since Joffrey drew last breath. Ned prayed at the Godswood, a small courtyard transplanted from the north, its weirwood sapling pale against warm southern brick. He knelt, hands upon damp grass, pale eyes red-rimmed with exhaustion. "Old gods," he whispered, "grant me strength to shield the innocent, to speak the words that must be spoken." Leaves rustled though no wind stirred. He felt memory of snow on skin long since sunburned, heard Rob's laughter echo across the winter courtyard, saw Jon's solemn vow beside Heart Tree. Honor bound him to S. Thumped. He rose, night air cool. On his way back he passed Maester Pycelle's chambers and found the old man hunched over a chest of powders. "Milk of the poppy?" Ned asked. "For the wretched burns." Pycelle glanced up. "That wildfire monstrous." "Indeed." Ned studied the maester's trembling hands. "You never told Cersei about bastardy, did you?" Pycelle flinched. "I serve the realm," he said. "Then serve it now," Ned urged. "Speak tomorrow. Tell the council what you know of Robert's seed." Fear clouded Pycelle's eyes. "I am but a maester who signed every birth record. You saw black-haired bastards across the city. You saw none in the palace." He left Pycelle quaking. Perhaps the old man would find courage, perhaps not. Ned had little faith, but he must marshal every sliver of proof. At dawn, the council would decide. Wolves and lions poised at the cusp of ruin. Above all, he thought as he climbed the tower stairs, above threats and flames and poison, the realm demanded someone speak for the silent, for the small folk trampled by crowns. He would speak, and if swords answered, so be it. He slept an hour, sword at his bedside, dreamed of snow swirling around a lone direwolf, its howl a blade that split the night. The council chamber filled as the first rays of sun set stained glass windows afire. Tywin stood flanked by Ser Adam Marbrand and Ser Meryn Trant, both armored, helms off. Cersei entered last, wearing mourning black cut to emphasize golden hair cascading like molten metal. Her eyes were rimmed red but bright with triumph. Ned entered alone, cloak of gray fur draped across mail, ice strapped to his back. He nodded to Ser Barristan, who returned a grave salute. Varys observed from shadows, hands folded like a prayer-granted weight. Baelish tapped quill to parchment, amused. Tywin cleared his throat. We convene to confirm Myrcella of House Baratheon as Queen of the Undulls, the Rhoynar, and the First Men, rightful heir of Robert. He looked to Ned. Do you contest? Ned stepped forward. His voice carried clear.
Ido.
Murmurs erupted. Cersei's knuckles whitened. Tywin's eyes flashed. I contest, Ned repeated. Because Myrcella is no true-born Baratheon. Her hair, her brother's hair, her sister's. Gold is yours, Lord Tywin, and yours, Queen Cersei. Robert's true-born children would bear his seed. Black of hair. The gods give us signs. I bring witness. He gestured. Maester Pycelle crept forward, clutching a ledger. Hands shook yet voice squeaked the tale. Black-haired bastards dotting the city. None within the Red Keep. Tywin's nostrils flared. Coincidence. Baratheon coloring may skip a generation. Across 3 children? Ned asked. And none across King's line?
Impossible.
Cersei rose. And what of your bastards, Stark? Shall we pry into your marriage bed? You may, Ned said. You will find my children bear my face. The room crackled. Baelish sat forward. Ned drew the dagger tube. This blade you see, laced with manticore venom, was crafted to silence truth. Ordered with Lannister gold. He tossed the tube onto the table. It rolled, rattling. Tywin's voice sliced. Fabrications. Where is proof of payment? Alchemist's confession, Ned answered. Signed last night. Under duress, Cersei hissed. Baelish lifted parchment. Nevertheless disturbing. Poison knives? Wildfire? We teeter on chaos. Tywin's hand fell to sword hilt. Chaos will reign if traitors defame my blood. If Stark continues this farce, the Lion's banners will answer. As will the wolves, Ned said. But there need be no war. Stannis Baratheon lives, true brother to Robert of lawful claim. Gasped. Varys's brow arched. Tywin laughed, cold as mountain ice. That priggish fool? He commands no love. Better a child queen with seasoned regents. Ned spread hands. Let the lords convene great council. Let realm choose. Not daggers in darkness. Cersei snarled. I choose now. She ripped a parchment. Gold cloaks stormed through doors, spears leveled at Ned. Ser Barristan stepped between. Hold, in the king's or queen's name. Tywin raised a hand. Gold cloaks hesitated. Do not harm Stark, he ordered. Arrest him. Trial will show his lies. Ned's sword remained sheathed. You arrest truth today, but you cannot jail Winter. You think Winter frightens lions? Tywin asked. It will when they starve, Ned replied. He surrendered ice to Ser Barristan, meeting Cersei's triumphant glare. Gold cloaks bound his wrists in chains cooled by morning air. Baelish sighed theatrically. Pycelle wept. Varys closed his eyes. As guards escorted Ned from the chamber, Tywin called after, You will bend before 40 days end. Ned did not turn. We shall see which breaks first. Iron forged in snow or gold cast soft in fire. He walked down stone steps toward dungeons, every footfall ringing with quiet certainty. The path ahead was dark, but honor walked beside him. Somewhere in the city, a lone raven spread wings toward Dragonstone. Wolves would howl soon, and lions would learn winter bites hardest when hope warms their hearts. The door clanged, iron on iron, and shadows swallowed Eddard Stark. Yet beyond those shadows, dawn burned gold upon the ramparts, promising battle, sacrifice, perhaps salvation. The tale was far from told. Cold seeped up through the flagstones like water through a cracked hull, numbing Eddard Stark's knees despite the stale rushes strewn over the cell floor. They had left him his cloak at least, wool-dyed the dark gray of northern skies, but even wrapped twice about his shoulders, it could not banish the damp that clung to every surface beneath the red keep. The dungeon smelled of rust and rot mildewed straw, yet after 3 days Ned found he could pick apart subtler notes. Pigeon droppings in the crevices overhead, lamp oil seeping from an unseen pipe, the tang of salt from a sea breeze that managed somehow to wind its way through infinite corridors and gratings to reach prisoners who might never again taste open air. He ticked the hours by the footsteps of his jailers. At sunrise, a pair of gold cloaks clattered down the stair with bowls of thin oat gruel. At midday they returned with sour wine and a heel of bread. By evening the wine had soured further and the bread grew smaller. Between those pilgrimages, the only sounds were distant moans from deeper cells and the ceaseless drip of water off calcified arches. Ned marked each interval, counting silently until numbers blurred. When he reached 300, he began reciting the names of Winterfell's ancient kings instead. Brandon the Builder, Theon Nightslayer, Edric Snowbeard, until voice hushed to preserve strength. On the fourth dawn, the pattern changed. The usual clamor of mailed boots gave way to deliberate, measured steps. Keys rattled, a bar scraped, and the door swung inward to reveal Lord Varys clad in night-black robes shimmering faintly like crow feathers in moonlight. Behind him stood a single guard whose blank expression told Ned the man would sooner die than interrupt the spider's business. "My Lord Hand," Varys murmured, nose wrinkling at the smell. "I feared you might have chilled." He produced a small brazier, unhooking it from a loop on his belt, and set it at Ned's feet. Blue coals glowed within, oddly scentless. The warmth hit Ned's skin like a caress he scarcely remembered. "You risk much," Ned rasped. His throat felt scraped raw. He had spoken to no one in days. Varys fluttered a hand. "Risk is the coin we pay for duty. I bring news. Speak." The eunuch crouched, balancing on slippered heels. "Lord Tywin has rallied 50,000 in the west. His envoys ride to Highgarden and Old Town offering gold and trade privileges, though the Tyrells remain cautious, remembering the Reach burned once before under lion claws. In the east, Queen Cersei sends ravens promising marriage alliances for Myrcella. Dorne, the Vale, even bravos if rumors hold." "And Stannis?" Ned asked. Dragonstone answers only with silence, which speaks volumes. A fleet has not sailed, but shipyards hammer night and day. Storm's End likewise musters banners under Renly's bright stag bursting with flowers. Though whether brother shall stand with brother we cannot yet say. Ned closed his eyes, picturing tides of soldiers cresting hills, banners whipping, steel glinting through dust. And the north. A shadow in every tavern whispers that Robb Stark calls his banners. White Harbor, Carhold, Bear Island. Their ships will sail soon if they have not already. Winter wolves sniff blood on the wind. Ned's heart clenched. Robb, barely past boyhood, forced to raise armies. Tell him not to march. The north is too far. War will devour thousands ere they reach the neck. Varys sighed. Even a spider's web cannot stretch so far so fast. Ravens may fly, yet hearts spurred by honor gallop faster than wings. He straightened, gaze gentle. My birds also chirp that Lady Sansa weeps nightly, while Arya remains unseen, lost or hiding, no one can tell. Arya hides well, Ned said, forcing steel into voice. Tell her to keep the blades tipped low and eyes sharp. If I find her. Varys rose, smoothing his robe. There is one more matter. The 40 days of mourning end in 14 nights. Lord Tywin intends to crown Myrcella upon the morrow after. The banners will gather in the dragon pit, under guard of flamethrowers newly forged by the Guild of Alchemists. Less volatile than Wildfire, they swear. He offered a thin smile. Swearings seldom comfort me. Ned's chains rattled as he shifted. Stannis must strike first. Alas, ravens fly slower than rumor. Rumor which now paints you not merely traitor but kinslayer. Some claim you poisoned Joffrey to avenge Robert, others that you plotted to set Robb upon the Iron Throne. Lies grow quick in fertile dung. Then the realm must hear truth from my lips, Ned said. Varys tilted his head. What if your lips were freed? Temporarily, Ned's brows lifted. There is to be a trial, Varys continued. Lord Tywin relishes show of justice. He means to parade the crown's evidence. Your confessions forged by Littlefinger's ink, your alliance with northern rebels. He expects you to bend knee, name yourself Oathbreaker, and take the black. That mercy, he believes, will mollify the North and turn them home. Ned almost laughed. The sound emerged as harsh cough. He knows nothing of the North. Indeed, Varys agreed. Regardless, in that hall you will have one breath to speak truth before lions roar. Choose your words wisely. I will, Ned promised, but I must live to breathe. I have arranged, Varys said, for the jailer on the morrow's eve to be deaf in one ear and greedy in both. A purse of silver may convince him to leave your door unbolted an hour before dawn, long enough for a shadow to slip in. A shadow, let us call it. A friend with keys and a cloak of gray so plain no guard recalls the face beneath its hood.
Ned, Frau Ned.
You plan my escape? No, Varys said softly. I plan your survival. Whether escape or surrender is yours to decide. He stepped back. The brazier will burn 4 hours. Pray use its warmth well. He glanced at the guard, nodded, and withdrew without further word. Ned stared after him until the door clanged shut. Firelight flickered on stone, painting the cell's damp walls gold like autumn leaves. For hours he mused, enough time to stiffen resolve or to dream foolish hopes. He reached beneath cloak folds and drew out the chip of charcoal he had hidden in sleeve lining. On the wall opposite the door he began to write. A letter to Robb in code only Maester Luwin might decode. Instructions, please, cautions. The charcoal scraped faintly, whisper of northern wind in southern tomb. When the stick wore to nub, he pressed lines with fingernail, carving runes among the soot. Words mattered, Varys had said, so he used them like blades, shaping futures unseen. Far above, in the Queen's Tower, Cersei paced a map room whose every window looked upon different quadrant of the city she meant to tame. Scrolls littered the central table, trade ledgers, ship manifests, bribe tallies. Tywin stood by a tall candlestick, candle wax running like frozen tears. Ser Adam Marbrand and Ser Meryn Trant flanked the door. My father, the Reach hesitates, Cersei said, slamming a parchment. Mace Tyrell writes of loyalty yet sends no swords. Tyrells bend whichever way the wind fattens their purses, Tywin replied. Gold wagons leave Casterly Rock within the week. Offer them as much grain as they wish to sell and promise them Ashford as dowry when Myrcella takes one of their sons. Cersei snorted. Myrcella will marry Dornish, not that pompous oaf spawn. She will marry whom the realm needs, Tywin said. Do not confuse maternal whim with statecraft. A muscle jumped in Cersei's jaw. And what of Stannis? Every day Dragonstone forges more ships. He cannot sail until storms ease, Tywin said. Autumn seas punish even Baratheon arrogance. Besides, Redwine fleets block the gullet. Redwine's allegiance lies with the Reach, Cersei reminded. And Redwine's second daughter marries a Lannister cousin come spring, Tywin countered. Fear not. The Grape Lords love coin more than stags or wolves. Cersei turned, crimson silk swirling. And the wolf? You think Northmen will kneel when their lord rots in chains? Tywin's eyes narrowed. They will if he bends. Eddard Stark cares for honor. He will choose life for his children over pride. He dreams of trueborn kings. she hissed. He dreams of snow and hearth fires and a quiet retirement, Tywin said. We offer him that dream. The wall, distant and cold, yet alive. Cersei pressed palms to the table. And if he refuses? Then we send his head north in a box of cedar. Tywin's voice held no heat, merely statement of fact. Wolves will howl, but the neck will bog their fury. We burn Moat Cailin, raise Bolton banners, and starve them until they eat bark. For a moment even Cersei seemed chilled. Then a smile curled her lips. Very well. We convene at first moonrise on the 40th day. I shall wear mourning white, fitting for a mother who loses her son, gains a crown. Tywin nodded, though his gaze lingered on the map of the Vale. Pray the gods you never lose more than a son, daughter. Thrones devour families whole. Across the city, Arya Stark huddled inside the bell tower of the Great September, knees drawn to chest, listening to the bell's iron tongues groan with the breeze. She smelled of lamp oil and pigeon feather, hair hacked unevenly with a stolen carving knife. Gendry crouched beside her, big hands working a whetstone along the edge of a tinner's file they'd shaped into shiv. Hot Pie snored, feet dangling over a wooden slat. It's tomorrow, Gendry whispered. They'll crown the golden girl. Let them try, Arya murmured. Her eyes gleamed in moonlight slipping through the louvers. Needles thirsty. Needles a splinter, Gendry said, though affection tempered mockery. There'll be knights, gold cloaks, sellswords. Sansa says knights are like songs, Arya muttered. Pretty until you hear the words. Gendry grunted. We should bolt for White Harbor. Get a galley north. Not without father, Arya snapped. He's in that dungeon. Varys said a door might unlock. She patted the purse of silver hidden under her jerkin, Varys's gift via a silent urchin. Tonight we buy the guards. Get in, get him out. And then we find a fast horse. Arya's gaze drifted east toward the silhouette of the dragon pit's shattered ribs. Or a dragon if one wakes. Gendry snorted but said no more. Together they watched constellations wheel, counting heartbeats. Below, the city slumbered uneasy. Dogs barked at nothing, whores haggled with thieves, priests offered solace for coppers. A spark of greenish glow lingered still on Rhaenys' hill where wildfire had scarred stone forever. Fear hovered over King's Landing like smoke yet to clear after a blaze. Robb Stark read his father's coded letter beneath Winterfell's weirwood as the first snows of autumn drifted onto red leaves. Gray wind paced, hackles rising as if scenting distant battle. Maester Luwin knelt beside, deciphering by torchlight. Your Lord Father counsels patience, the Maester said, voice quavering with cold and worry. He urges gathering provisions, strengthening holdfasts, awaiting the king's justice. Robb clenched the parchment. There is no king's justice, only lion's fury. He eyed the banners snapping around the courtyard. Mormont Bear, Hornwood Stag, Karstark Sunburst. Lord Karstark himself, gray-bearded, approached flanked by mailed sons. We cannot keep them waiting. Their men rode 2 moons to answer our call. Call you made in heat of grief, Luwin warned. Wars start quicker than they end. A horn sounded from the watchtower. Riders returning. Robb's heart leapt, but it was not his father astride a dapple stallion with pardon in hand. It was Ser Roderick Castle, snow-caked, dismounting wearily. The Lannisters mass at the Twins, Roderick reported. Lord Frey entertains their envoys. He will close the bridge to us unless we surrender hostages. Hostages, Karstark roared. My son died at the Green Fork for Robb's call. I'll give Frey my sword through his belly. Robb's knuckles whitened on parchment. Father said wait, but each hour lions tightened claws. We march south tomorrow, he declared. If Frey balks, we'll ford at night. Luwin sighed, snow melting on his bald pate. Then may the old gods guide you, my lord, and may your father forgive haste. Robb looked toward the heart tree, face carved in with weeping crimson sap like blood on white bark. He will, Robb whispered, voice a frosted vow. When I bring him home. On the 39th night, an hour before dawn, Ned's cell door creaked open. A hooded figure slipped inside, cloak gray, face deep in cowl. The jailer's keys jingled once, then silence. Ned stood slowly, manacles dangling from wrists. The stranger drew back hood. Not Varys, not Arya. Stark gray met sky blue. Sansa?
Ned breathed.
His eldest daughter's face seemed carved of alabaster, cheeks sunken from weeks of worry, eyes swollen yet steeled. She pressed finger to lips. From folds of skirt, she produced a slender tool, needlework stiletto filed to a pick. Kneeling, she attacked locks at his cuffs, breath shallow. "My brave girl," Ned whispered. She shook her head. "I was foolish. I believed their lies. I wrote the queen begging mercy for my prince." Voice cracked. "But he's dead, and they want your head too. I will not watch." The lock clicked free. Ned flexed fingers tingling with returning blood. Sansa worked the second shackle. Ned touched her hair. "You should not be here." "Where else?" she asked. Footsteps echoed down hall. Sansa paled. She thrust a scrap of parchment into his hand. "Varys's map," she hissed. "Sewer tunnels beneath black cells. Arya waits beyond river gate with Gendry and a boat." "I must stand trial," Ned said. "You must live," Sansa countered. Shackles fell. She pulled chain free, pressed it into his belt. "Wear cloak, keep head low. Jailer's blind on this watch. They paid him well."
Ned hugged her fiercely.
"I love you, little bird." She clung an instant, then stepped back, tears shining. "Find Arya. I'll stall them. They think me tame." She managed a wan smile. "Queens love pretty prisoners." Footsteps louder. Sansa vanished through door, pulling it softly shut. Ned hid the map under cloak, heart hammering. He peered into corridor, empty. He moved. Down stairway. A smelling of torch pitch. Past cells where gaunt men groaned. Through a rusted grate, half ajar, into darkness cut with reeking water. Rats scattered. He followed the map's spidery lines. Left past cistern, down iron ladder, crawl through chute dripping slime. At times he crawled, at times waded waist deep in sewage chilled like northern rivers. All the while he listened for boots, crossbows, the scrape of steel. None came. Finally he emerged into a vaulted chamber where moonlight poured through broken paving high above. Arya crouched on ledge, Gendry poised with rope. "Father!" She breathed joy so fierce it hurt. She swung down, arms around his neck. Gendry offered hand, hauling Ned onto ledge slick with moss. "Boats waiting," Gendry said. "Tide turns soon." They followed passage up to wharf carved beneath river gate. A narrow skiff bobbed, hot pie holding stern rope, eyes wide. But the night was not silent. Across the river 2 lanterns blinked thrice. Signal. Moments later the slap of oars echoed. Silhouettes of patrol skiffs glided from murk. "Gold cloaks," Arya whispered. Ned scanned bank. Sparse crates, a coil of tar-smelling rope, a stack of fishing nets. He turned to children. "Into the water. Keep to the stonework. Swim north to drainage arch, follow the current until reeds hide you. Then wait." Arya shook head fiercely.
"No."
"You come too." "I'll draw them," Ned said. "Meet me beyond the bend." "Go." Gendry seized Arya's arm. Hot pie slipped into water with grunt. Arya's glare cut deeper than any spear, but she obeyed, sliding into black river without splash. Ned heaved net stack into the boat, shoved off. He took or rowing crooked path toward patrol lights. Shouts rose. "Boat there! Hold!" Arrows hissed, one thudding into hull. Ned rowed harder, guiding skiff toward mid-channel where current tugged riptide strong. Another arrow nicked cloak. He loosed oars, ducked, then flung net bundle across water. A writhing shape that for heartbeat resembled 3 fugitives. Gold cloaks loosed volley at decoy, net snaring shafts mid-flight.
"Ned dove?"
Cold bit like teeth. He kicked deep, lungs burning, counting strokes. When he surfaced 20 strokes downstream, patrol boats clustered around empty skiff. Lanterns swung, voices cursed. He drifted with debris past wharf pilings until stone arch yawned ahead. Arya's pale face awaited, hair plastered like river weed. Together they hauled onto muddy bank inside cavern rank with cattails. Hot Pie panted, teeth chattering. Gendry wrung water from tunic. "Are we free?" Hot Pie whimpered. "Not yet," Ned answered. He peered upstream. Lanterns receding, shouts muffled. "But we live." As gray light bled into horizon, they followed drainage channel through marsh, reeds whispering secrets. Beyond, trees lined a cattle track leading north, hoarfrost glittering on leaves. Ned paused atop low rise. King's Landing crouched behind, domes and towers silhouetted in pre-dawn pink. Bells had not yet tolled. In those still moments he felt a weight lift. Not gone but shared, by daughters at his side, by son marching south, by every soul who would choose truth over fear. "Where to now?" Arya asked. "To Riverrun first," Ned decided. "Your uncle commands swift riders. Then to the neck to Moat Cailin. We warn Robb." He took their hands. "And the realm shall hear truth from more than one mouth." They turned away from the city. As they started down frost-crackled path, the first bell rang for dawn. A hollow note drifting over river like farewell. But far behind them, in towers still cloaked by night, lions stirred to discover their prey fled. Spiders spun new threads across empty cells. Little birds chirped warnings, while queens broke mirrors in rage. And high above, ravens winged toward Dragonstone and White Harbor alike, carrying word that wolf and cubs ran free under bruised sky. War would come, yet within the hush of that newborn morning, amid breath clouds steaming in cold and limbs aching from escape, Eddard Stark felt a fierce, stubborn hope beat once more, slow and heavy, like the great heart of Winterfell itself, still warm beneath winter snow.